Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Music Lab Podcast. My name is Dogg, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you for another episode of the podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us and helps the bands like Jaws of Brooklyn. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear RAR. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Jaws of Brooklyn. Man, we have been trying to get you guys on. It has been now over 2 months since South by. Can you believe that?
Sorry, are
Uh-oh.
you there? You're
I hear
frozen
you.
on. There we
Oh,
go.
I'm sorry.
I
Okay.
got you back now.
Did you hear me?
No, sorry.
Yes.
One more
Oh,
time. My bad.
Yeah, one more time.
no, you're good. So I said it has been now over 2 months, and I've been trying to get you guys on since South by, since we saw you perform. Talk about that experience, talk about Austin, and just yeah, give it to me.
I'll let Gretchen talk about it because I know that was her first experience there. But first of all, just want to real quickly say thank you so much for having us on. It's a real
Yeah.
pleasure for us to be on. And it's sorry, our bad for we. I know we had a couple stumbling blocks in terms of scheduling, so that's on us. But thank you so much for having us,
Absolutely.
Gretchen. Talk about
Yeah.
Austin. Talk about South by.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, yeah, Austin, that was my first time ever in Austin. And then of course my first experience at South by Southwest. And I mean, it just was everything about it was cool. There was like nothing that we experienced that wasn't amazing, except for maybe my driving and following of the maps. Other than that, every venue was cool. We met really nice, friendly, welcoming, excited people at every venue. Our first show, which is, I believe, where we met you, was our first show. Yeah. That was a great opening show. Like, it kind of blew my mind just walking in on it. Whatever day that was, it was like middle of the week, a packed venue in the middle of the day. That was wild. Not a thing you'd see in Seattle. Um, yeah, it was just so cool to see all the creativity everywhere, hear the music coming out of everywhere you walked around. Yeah, it was amazing. I feel so lucky, so fortunate to be able to have that experience. It was a life-changing experience. And, living in the house with our band for that whole time, I feel like all it did was make us closer. There was no like weird roommate issue. It was just great. Everything about it was great. 10 out of 10. Zia?
No, I agree. I mean that this was our second. So this past year we had our official showcase at South by, which was awesome. We had also been to Southwest the year before last as well, and we did a handful of gigs. Actually, we did a ton of gigs. I want to say we did 7 or 8 or 9 gigs in like 5 days or something. So it was like we had them stacked up, but it's an incredible environment. And yeah, I mean, we had a blast. It's always great to play, always great to see other artists there as well. And, I mean, the festival has grown over time. So, I mean, I guess that maybe the hope is that if in a future iteration of South by, we kind of, maybe it's a little bit of a scaled back approach. I know it's gotten huge now. So it's one of those things where it's still an incredible environment, great artists. But at the same time, like maybe we scale back just a little bit anyways to sort of like, it just seems like, I think when you do that also, there's more of the ability for really kind of for more curation, I think, if you will, for the artists, which I think is a good thing at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, we had a blast. We had a great time hanging with each other. Nobody got sick of it. Nobody killed each other in the band. That's very positive. And yeah, great food, the Mexican food, the barbecue, the Tex-Mex action, going out to see other bands. several bands that were just even in our showcase at Zilker that were incredible as well. So it was a blast, great environment.
Yeah, Zilker is a great spot. Great
It
beer,
is.
great venue. Yeah. Talk about that experience at that showcase.
Yeah, I mean, so it was. So again, this was our first kind of official showcase, but what was funny was the band. So we were really honored to have an official showcase this year for sure. Again, love South by, love the environment. There was a band that went on, and I wrote it down directly in front of us, ahead of us. There was a band that went on, and it was Jennifer Foster and the Audacity. So like we're all, we rehearse a lot to get geared up for these shows and feel pretty good. And I would say generally as a band and our ability to execute. But when you have to go, when you're in the audience and a band comes up like that band directly in front of you, and they just, I don't know if I'm going to cuss on this thing, but they just fucking slayed. They were
Killed.
incredible. They were incredible. Like, and it was a similar configuration to us, right? Like they had 2 or 3 backup singers. She plays bass, and then it's a bass player, drummer, guitar player, but like a keyboard player. But they just were incredible. So there was
good.
definitely that sort of thing. But at the same time, it's a good thing to kind of push you, right? But we all had to sit there and watch them just slay, and then we're like, holy shit, how are we supposed to follow that thing, right? Like, but they were really, really incredible. So like, shout out to that band again,
Yeah,
Jennifer
so
Foster
good.
and the Audacity. They were just killer. So but that's the beauty of the festival as well, right? It's like I'd never heard of that artist, and
Mm-mm.
you're just hanging out, having a beer, having a great time, getting to perform, and then all of a sudden a band like that comes up, and it's just like, wow. So
Yeah.
really, that's part of the beauty of that festival as well.
Yeah,
Yes,
do you
agree.
know where are they from? Any idea?
They're Austin based.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
they're
I've
so
never heard.
good. So good.
I'll have to give them a listen.
Check them out. And I
Yeah,
think
it's cool.
I don't know. Yeah, just to add on to that, just all of the vocals were just incredible by themselves. Like each one of the vocalists blew my mind. Even when they were like, I think they were doing like a sound check, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be very good.
Yeah, for sure. But I
Yeah.
think that helped to, but that helped to push. I think that helped to push our performance because, obviously we're not in competition with them, but when you see a band that good, I think it helps to kind of push your performance a little more. You're like, holy shit, I got to step it up here tonight. Like tonight's
Yeah.
tonight. I mean, we're gonna have to all step it up, obviously. So I think that helped to push our performance. And at the end of the day, we had we had a blast playing and a good performance overall. So it was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a great, and I think that was our last show.
It
I
was.
think it was our last show before we flew back. So
Yeah.
it was a great way to wrap up the festival for us.
Yeah. Is it
Indeed.
is it tough though for a festival like South by when you're usually only getting like 20 minutes or 30 minutes? Is it tough to A, pick your set list, and B, really kind of get into the groove when you're only getting 30 minutes?
It does feel so fast. I think one of the good things about our songs is they're all about 3 minutes, so we can do a lot of songs. So, and each one of them is such a banger that it's like, for me, it just feels fast, but it feels like I can get right into it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Zia?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree. I mean, they're we intentionally structure the songs. Our primary songwriter is Brian Cohen, and he couldn't join us. He's out of the country, but definitely the songs are crafted intentionally, very much intentionally, to be like 2 minutes 30 seconds, definitely under 3 minutes. If it goes 3 minutes, it's long for us, right? So to Gretchen's point, yeah, it's and to our benefit, it means we can squeeze in more songs in terms of our overall set list. So when we get 30 or 40 or 45 minutes, yeah, you can get into the tunes pretty quick. And it's a similar vibe. It's a similar, like thematically and musically, there's similarities between the songs that allows you to get into it pretty fast, and they're quickies. So it makes it fun. Hopefully it makes it fun for the audience too, right? It's not, what we do is not jam band situation, right? These are kind of wham bam thank you ma'am kind of songs, right? Like, let's get in and do what we need to do and hit the chorus as much as we can and make it exciting for the audience, and then get out.
Well, and it works very well for a vinyl too, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. You're not Goose or Widespread Panic or anything.
No, and again, like, nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with those bands. It's all great, man. Like Widespread Panic and Government Mule, and like the whole thing is fine. That's all good. It's just, and I enjoy a lot of that, but it's not what this band does.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go back to the beginning. So it's the pandemic. We're all struggling with this idea of not being able to ever see live music again. And you guys kind of start the band. Like, what was the inspiration?
Yeah, well, the band started out of let's see, Brian Cohen, the guitar player and main songwriter, and the bass player Paul Christofferson and myself have been playing together for a number of years now, maybe like 15 years now, something like that. And so we had several other projects in the past. And then during the and those projects just kind of, it kind of ran their course. And then during the pandemic, or just before, we'd recorded a couple songs with a female vocalist, and it was just a very different, it was a different approach for us. The approach we took was very, very different than our previous musical endeavors. So, and this approach was kind of just like you said before. It's kind of like, if Dusty Springfield met the Sonics, it was like that vibe, right? And it had like a sprinkling of R&B on top of it. Like, it was that kind of vibe. And once we kind of hit that vein, we were like, this is really cool. Like, this is different and kind of unique in its own way and kind of cool. And it just suited us. So we just started writing. We brought in another vocalist at that time, and she came in and sang with us. And she's also she appears on our first record, The Shoals. And so it just kind of started like that. It was a very kind of organic progression for us, I'd say. Lindsay was the vocalist. She did a great job kind of tapping into that vein with us as well. And that first record was really just the four of us. We didn't have a keyboard player at that time. So Ben Tanner, who tours with the Alabama Shakes, and he produces us, he played keys on that first record. And then it was myself, Brian, Paul, and Lindsay. So that was kind of the impetus for the whole thing. We decided, hey, let's go down to, we started looking for producers. You and I talked about this earlier. We're huge Alabama Shakes fans as well. And we found Ben through that. And then Ben had a strong interest in producing it. And so he said, hey, come down here to Alabama, to the Shoals, and let's make the record down here. So that's how the whole project started. That was the impetus for the whole thing. And from there we had Lindsay left the band, whatever that, a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, she left the band. And then at that time we kind of had a hard choice to make. Do we continue doing the band thing? And by that time we had gotten a keyboard player who's Dana Dysart. She's really fantastic. She's kind of our secret weapon. But we brought Dana into the band. And so we kind of had a hard decision to make. Like, do we continue? Or should we just, is it time to call it quits? And when we sat down to talk about it, I think that, we all, it was pretty unanimous. Like, hey, let's continue this thing, and let's see if we can find someone to fill Lindsay's shoes. And thankfully, we found Gretchen to come in, and she does. I mean, and I'll talk about Gretchen like she's not on the podcast with us, but she's just a powerhouse vocalist, and I think more than filled the shoes that we had before in terms of vocals. So it's really
Thank you.
fantastic to have her in the band. Like I said, Dana's our secret weapon. So Dana writes all the vocal harmonies. And so it's really been fantastic. It's like given us as a band kind of, Gretchen especially has kind of given us a second life as a band. So it's been really, really cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, for someone whose last name is Lemon, your voice is so sweet.
Thank you.
So when you, other than obviously her voice, like what was the dynamic that really changed with Gretchen coming on compared to the former singer?
Yeah, I think Gretchen also brings, I think Gretchen also brings this spirit of having. I mean, I think just having a lot of optimism. I think maybe that was missing in the past as well, right? Just sort of, there were kind of dark days for a while, and so I think when Gretchen came in and kind of breathed this fresh air into the band, and this sense of optimism, and I think that's really what we needed, to be honest. So and sometimes you get stuck in it. You're in it, and you just you don't always necessarily realize like where you're at, and then you kind of turn around, you're like, God, this is kind of dark. Like we're kind of in a dark place. I don't think that's great, And given the tunes, it's a total dichotomy, right? Because the band's not dark. The band is the antithesis of that. So I think having Gretchen come into the mix really, again, brought that level of brightness and optimism and fresh air into the band that we really needed as well.
Yeah, and I guess, being from Seattle, the city of grunge, right? This music style, I guess, it's probably not for everybody in your own hometown. So how is that, how do you guys kind of approach that and kind of deal with that?
I mean, I don't know. I think kind of to answer that, like, because it is different and, but also it's like, retro vibes, but also current. I think it sort of surprises people. And I think most people really are digging it. I mean, yeah, just like every single person I show this to, and I've been in many bands and they've been forced to hear many of my things in the past. People are excited about this. This is different. So maybe it's because it rains here a lot. So we're just exciting and like it feels like sunshine when you're listening to it. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. It's just different and in a good way. Like it makes you happy. And we need that here.
Well, and I asked him about the dynamic. Like, how is the dynamic with this band compared to other bands that you've been in for you?
Well, it's really interesting because so I'm married and my husband and I do music together. And my husband is kind of the person who gave me I don't know what the right word is. I guess the platform and the feedback that I had been longing for like my whole life as a young person. And then as a young adult, he just really appreciated me and wanted to work with me. And I hadn't had that experience. And so he kind of helped me gain my confidence just by being supportive. And so but he and I have played music since since 2000 together, my husband. This is before we were married. And we've always been in bands together since then. So I haven't had the experience of not being in a band other than one band in college or two bands in college where I wasn't with my husband. So this is different just because of that. And mainly he was the main songwriter in all of my previous projects. And I'm also in a cover band. So it's like, okay, a cover band, whatever. It's super fun, but it's, it's a cover band. So, it's just completely different. Like, he wrote all the songs, and though I'm not the songwriter for this band, I have had some songwriting credits, and I've written some stuff before, but I think I might be going off topic a little bit here. But yes, this is just different because I'm not with my husband. I'm with a completely different group of people who I didn't know until I came into this to audition. Totally different.
So would you say you have a band husband now?
A band husband, like somebody in the band who's my band husband?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Claire and Amy. They're my band husbands. I don't know. We're all a band family. We've been joking. I shouldn't say it, but I have to say it now. We've been trying to figure out the names for everybody because I mistakenly called Brian Band Daddy at our record release. On stage, I called him that, and I was like, that's not really what I meant, and it came out wrong, but now it kind of is who he is. Anyway, so I don't have a band husband. Not yet. Band siblings.
Yeah, it's definitely a siblings vibe for sure, in a positive way. Yeah.
So what is Seattle like for an up and coming indie unsigned band? Like, what are venues like? Are they welcoming? Is it like a hole in the wall? Is it, what do you got? What, talk to us about the situation in Seattle.
Sure. Do you want to go? You want me to go, Gretchen? It's definitely. I mean, it's a mix for sure. Seattle. I think Seattle is welcoming of kind of new, fresh music for sure. I think always has been. But the challenge with Seattle at the same time is it's a very, very cliquish music scene here. So it's very, for the lack of a better term, it's a very incestuous music scene. It's a very cliquish music scene. It's a very sort of, and it always has been this way. It's like cred-oriented music scene, right? And at times, I think that makes it a challenge. There's several of us in this band that have been kicking around Seattle bands for a very long time, so I think it helps. But you still see it; it's still out there, and so I think that's the challenge at times is kind of getting past that. Venues are welcoming again. Venues also here. I mean, you juxtapose venues from Seattle to Austin, and I think Austin has a vibe where it's like, hey, let's up and coming, like they're very welcoming of up and coming bands. They're very supportive of that. They want that to happen because they know the scene grows from that. And it's a win-win situation. I think here in Seattle, it's very much like, well, how well, the first question is like, how well do you draw?
Yep.
It's like, hey, it's a 200 cap venue. And like, we're playing 200 or 400 cap venues, right? So it's like, and that's the first question is like, how many people can you bring into the venue? How well can you draw? And it's like, that I don't think that should be the first question out of the gates, right? And so that's kind of and again, like Seattle's home for me, right? I love it here. So, but at the same time, it's always been that way. And again, it's when you juxtapose that to a scene like you see in Austin, it's very different in that way. And and there's pros and cons to both for sure. But I think that's why all of us at the same time really enjoyed South by and being part of that environment, because it's like when you see that level of openness and welcoming of new, fresh, different type of music, it's really, really cool. And it's really sort of, it's really infectious. You experience it and you're just like, man, this is really like, I could do with more of this at home, like that's the vibe. And again, I love Seattle. We've had great, we had a sold out record release show here. That's probably a 250 cap room, which was super cool. We're going to be playing kind of a seminal venue here in Seattle called the Tractor in November. That's a 400 or 450 cap room. We hope to kind of grow and sell that out as well. But again, like, it's about the music at the end of the day, right? It's really, that's what it should be about is the music and, ensuring that everyone has access to it and everyone's having a great time and everyone enjoys it. So we'll see what happens, but that's the vibe. That's the vibe here in Seattle, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If I may, I would just like to add on that one of the things about me is I don't like exclusivity, and I've been like this since probably middle school. And if there's like cliques, I was the person that was like, I'm going to bust into all these cliques and be friends with everyone. Whether you like it or not, you're going to like me. And that's how I've been in the music scene too. I felt like I also came into it kind of later just because I had kids and I stayed home with kids and was not in the music scene for a while. And then just late in the past 10 years, I just was like, I'm going to know people in the scene, even the people where it sort of feels like elitism or just exclusivity. I'm like, I will know all of those people. And so actually right before the pandemic, I had made this decision that I was going to, I'm a middle school teacher, and I was going to quit teaching and do music full time. And so I was talking to my friend, and we were making like this list of how I was going to do that. And I started to like basically use Facebook, like LinkedIn for musicians. And I started just friend requesting anyone who was holding an instrument or looked like they were singing in the Seattle area. And so people had no idea who I was, but they were, accepted my friend request. And then I was just always on their feed. And so they started to think they knew me, which was kind of funny. So I started meeting people. And then what happened with my thinking I was going to quit working was the pandemic. So that answered that question. But by the time of the pandemic, by the time we were going back out into the world, I knew all of these people because we'd been through this experience online together. And so all these people who didn't really know me, I knew them. And I started doing music with a lot of them. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, bands and artists, I think it's such a tough balancing act between the art and the commodity, because you obviously want to make a living off of this, but you also don't want to sacrifice the art for that. Talk about like how you guys approach that.
Yeah, I mean, well, for us, the music comes first for us. So, I mean, that's just the band is kind of based around that. When we, again, when we kind of tapped into sort of the musical vein of what we do, I mean, that's what always comes first. And again, and so and again, we want to make it accessible to everybody at the same time. And to Gretchen's point, and I mean, we would love nothing more than to make a living doing this. It's just, it's a challenge for sure. And we're not afraid to get up on stage and say, hey, buy our merch, buy the LP, buy the vinyl, buy the merch, right? That's how you support us. That's how we make money. Go on to Bandcamp, buy the vinyl, right? That helps to support us. So we're not above selling our wares either. But at the same time, it's a tough environment for touring artists and for artists signed to record labels, and it's not easy out there. I fully recognize that as well. So yeah, I mean, I think if we would love to get to the point where we're all doing this full time, I think that's certainly a goal, and that's something that we hope to achieve at some point. But if we don't, that's okay too. We still, we still get to make music and record music and go out and play live shows, and that's fantastic as well.
So when you guys played that sold out show for your record release, like, what's the feeling like that going on stage?
I'll let Gretchen answer.
Okay, well, walking on stage and having like basically knowing that so many of my friends were out there. One of my really cheesy dreams as a kid was that I'm the oldest of a bunch of cousins, and that we were going to go together and tour around the world singing Bob Marley songs. I was like 5th grade or 4th grade, but it felt like what I imagined that was going to feel like. Just like everybody that was important to me, or many, many people were in that room sharing that experience with me. And that's really, I think, what I love the most about what I'm doing is I want to bring people together to know each other, and doing it through music is awesome. So for me, it was just like I had all these different people from different parts of my life together in one room, and then experiencing this thing that I just really am so invested in and think is so awesome. And then having them feel that way too. So it was powerful. It was very cool. I want more of that.
So are your kids into Jaws of Brooklyn?
I mean, okay, they don't, they're 23 and 25, so they're just like, yep, this is a thing my mom does, and they have done, they're since I was in utero. So, um, yeah, I mean, they're totally into it. My youngest kid was our merch person that night. So, and they sold, I think, the most we've ever sold.
For sure.
So they were like, and they're sort of a introvert, so that was a lot for them. So they came out to support me, which was great. Yeah, they support. Yeah.
But also, Dogg, her Gretchen teaches middle school, and a lot of those, and so we did like a little acoustic performance because they were super like fascinated, right? They were super because they're seeing like videos, or they're seeing stuff about Jaws. They're seeing Gretchen on social media, right? So they're super interested and fascinated. So we did like a little acoustic performance for her middle schoolers, and they loved it. And so still to this day, they'll come up to her and like they'll sing the chorus to one of the songs or whatever, which is just, it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, there's a lot of them doing that. They'll come up to me and be like, I just can't get Lie to Me out of my head. And they'll sing the chorus. And it's really cute. Like 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, they'll just come up to me and they're following us on Instagram and like wanted us to sign their faces with markers after the concert.
It was awesome. It was fun.
Yeah, it was great.
So speaking of merch, I know bands have dealt with this. I don't know how this is in the Seattle scene, but have you found where venues take a percentage of your merch sales?
Yeah, I know that I tour with, separate from Jaws of Brooklyn. I
Oh,
tour with a international in larger venues for sure. The venues we're playing at now, we don't run into it, which is great. They allow the artists to keep all of the merch, which is fantastic. But I know that it happens at a larger scale. Like once you start getting into larger venues, it's definitely a thing. Yep.
Yeah, I know there are some venues that charge up to 40% of.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, it's
that's
insanity.
wild.
It's insanity. And you know what? It's a shame because for the longest time, the artists were able to keep. And by the way, it's not just venues that are doing it; it's also record labels that are doing it. Right? You've heard of these 360 deals, or like meaning that the record labels have their hands in everything. Right? They get a piece of your touring, they get a piece of your merch, they get a piece of your publishing. Right? So it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
For sure. Which is it's pretty nasty, I think, in my book. But no, the venue, the size of venues we're playing at now, we don't run into it, and we're thankful. We're definitely thankful of that, right? So because that's money that goes directly into our account and allows us to record music and have cool hats and cool T-shirts or whatever the case is, right? Allows us to buy, to pay for the Airbnb in Austin, all that kind of stuff. So we need that funding for sure through merch. So thankfully, no, we haven't run into it yet. If we do, we're going to have them call you.
Yeah.
And talk to you about it.
We'll put some middle schoolers on it. Yeah, we'll get you and the middle school crew on it. They'll regret they ever asked for it.
That's right, as they should.
Yeah, that's yucky. I don't like that.
So yeah, I mean, you talk about like, so when you guys are, if you do a month-long tour, whatever extended long tour, like, what is the mindset that you kind of have to put yourself into, knowing that you're going to be gone for like that long of a time?
Yeah, I mean, this band has yet to go out for a 4-week run. I mean, generally, we'll go out for like a long weekend. So like it'll be like, it'll be like what a Bellingham, Seattle, Portland, right? Or it'll be for us Seattle, Portland, Bend, Oregon, or something like that. So generally for us, it's been either a long weekend where we're out on the road, or it'll be something like South by, where we're there for a week or for recording, that's a solid, that's a solid whatever it is, 7 days or 10 days or something. So, but that's the longest this band. This band really hasn't been. We're in the process of looking for a booking agent, so hopefully that gets us out a little more in terms of. I mean, I think what we're hoping to do is kind of more West Coast type runs. That said, we're actually doing an East Coast run that's going to be in August, which will be pretty cool. So that's like a week-long deal. But yeah, but for us, I think the longest we've probably been out is a week for recording or 10 days for recording or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's this band. Aside from this band, I'll go out and tour for 8 weeks at a time or 5 or 6 weeks at a time. That's a different deal.
And that's what I mean. Like, what is your mindset and how do you get into a mindset knowing that you're going to be gone from home for that long? That's what I was kind of talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying, how do I get there?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not easy. It's all, well, first of all, my child is also grown and out of the house and has his own family. So that helps to not have little ones at home for sure. But yeah, I think a lot of it is preparation, and like mental preparation. I think not only musically, but also mentally preparing yourself for it as well. And knowing that, your day revolves around the show. It revolves around that particular performance, so that means whatever you're eating throughout the course of the day, whatever you're drinking the night before, whatever you're putting your body through or putting into your body affects that performance the next day. And so, and the older you get, I think the more you recognize that as well. I tour very differently now. In my mid 50s, I tour very differently now when I'm out for 8 weeks on the road than I did when I was in my late 20s. Right? It's just a very different thing. But yeah, I think that's the bulk of it. And having a super understanding partner for sure, I think is a big part of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need a foundation, whether it's a partner, whether it's a dog,
sure.
or it's children, you need
for
something,
sure.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what do we have for the rest of the summer then, tour-wise, tour dates? You said in August we got that. Any festivals, anything that we can share? Or
yeah, for sure. Actually, Gretchen, do you know all the dates? I was going to go on our Instagram because I think
I'll do some that I know and then you could add on. So we have I'll just list what I remember. Okay. So June 6th, we're going to be in Everett at an event called Sorta Culture, which I'm kind of learning about. I don't know that much about it, but the Everett music scene is popping. So we've been there a couple times and it's great. Then the next day we're in an area called White Center, which is basically just south of Seattle. And it's their Pride Festival. We're performing there. And we're performing at a venue that's close to my home it's close to my heart. It's called Tim's. And so they asked us to play. These are people that I love that own the venue. And then July 4th, we play in Everett, same city I was talking about. That was my first show. That was actually our first show for round 2 of Jaws of Brooklyn last year.
Oh, that's right.
And that was, so that will be fun. That means we'll have made it a year gigging. And then we have Ballard Seafood Fest, I think might be next after that.
Yeah, that's right. That's on July 13th, Ballard Seafood Fest. That's in Seattle. It's a big festival in Seattle. You got it.
What's that
I
draw?
think I missed. Sorry?
What's the draw for that Seafood Fest?
That's usually a pretty good sized deal. Yeah, there's a 1 or 2 stages for that thing. That's usually a pretty cool event for sure. So that'll be fun for us to do that. Then we head to the East Coast. That's in August 18th through the 24th. We're doing East Coast run. And basically it kind of revolves around a bunch of radio stations that have supported us. We've been really fortunate to have some great non-comm stations supporting us, independent radio. We have a great one in town too, by the way, called KEXP.
Yes, you do.
That's also one of our faves. But we're going to go to the East Coast, kind of where we're getting that support as well from those stations, which will be fun. And then August 27th, we're doing Waterfront Park. That's in Seattle, down at the pier. Really beautiful down there. And then we've got, then the one we just added recently is a big Seattle festival near and dear to my heart called Bumbershoot.
Yeah.
And that is on August 31st. We got in this year to Bumbershoot, which is pretty rad. I sent a text out, an IG post. I was in a band in like 1997 that played Bumbershoot, and I really could give a shit about our performance in 1997. It was all about making it over to the larger stage to go watch the Screaming Trees, which is one of my favorite all-time bands. So it's like my entire day revolved around just getting to go see the Screaming Trees that played later that day at Bumbershoot. But anyways, pretty stoked that we're doing Bumbershoot this year.
That's such a 20-year-old mindset.
Exactly. That's the mentality. It's like, I said, who cares? The trees are playing.
Yeah. Let's hurry through this set. Maybe like cut out 3 songs.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get through it so I can go see Screaming Trees.
I feel like there was one in June. I forgot. June 21st is some kind of date, but whatever. I can't remember what it is. Maybe it's like something about like solstice.
June. Yeah, you're right. June 21st. That's Fremont solstice.
Yeah.
It's the solstice festival. Yep.
And there's probably more that I'm forgetting. It's a very busy summer, and I'm also doing other stuff with my other cover band, and so it's like I have a giant. It's literally called the Big Ass Calendar, and it's taking up a whole wall, and it's all gigs, and which makes my heart really happy. But I need a calendar for sure.
Yeah, it's busy for everybody for sure. But yeah, I mean, your listeners can go on to at Jaws of Brooklyn on IG, and the dates are listed there as well. But yeah, I know it's busy for Gretchen. It's busy for me too. I'm getting ready to pop off for a 4-week-long tour as well, or 5 weeks. So yeah, it's busy for everybody.
Sad day. We're sad. We miss Zia when he leaves us.
Yes, but we have a great fill-in drummer.
Fantastic fill-in drummer.
Ben Smith, formerly with the band, the legendary band Heart, is
really
is our fill-in drummer. Yeah, he's killer. Yeah. Wow. So we're fortunate to have Ben when I'm out.
He's awesome. We love Zia because he's like part of the songwriting, right? Like he has drum parts that are parts of the songs. But Ben is amazing, and we're really lucky to have him as a fill-in drummer. That's crazy.
He's our guy. Yeah, he's great. And shout out to all of our backing vocalists as well that we have in the mix, because they're all really amazing as well. Yeah. And who we have? Amy Jo,
we have Claire. Those are our kind of regulars. And
Havala.
We had a previous backing vocalist, Morgan Paris Lanza, who went off and is doing her own solo stuff, but she'll fill in every now and then. And we have also Havala Rand, who is filling in for us too. And they're all wonderful musicians in their own right. So
yeah, they're fantastic. So we're lucky to have those folks. Yeah, it's like, it's the killer all-star bench of backing vocalists plus Ben Smith in the mix when I'm not here and on the road. So it's super exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my last question for you both, and I want you to both answer. Your ideal experience, how you listen to music, whether it's in the car, whether it's in a field, whether it's headphones, whether it's a Bluetooth speaker, whether it's whatever. You tell me what your ideal experience.
Well, okay. I mean, again, I'm going to go back to my husband, talking about my husband. He is what I would call, I guess, an audiophile, right? He has every form of music, like records, tapes, CDs, all of it. Like thousands and thousands of each of those. So we are always listening to music at our house. Like there's a record player playing in the living room, or some other thing playing in the bedroom. Like it's always going, or we're playing music. But I think my favorite way to listen to music, if that's what you're asking, making sure I got that right, is putting on some really good headphones and going on a walk. Specifically the beach, if I can do that. But just a walk where I can just zone out and just take in the music is probably the most I don't know what the right word would be. It just feels like I can really almost disassociate, but in a good way. Like I'm just in the music. Very peaceful.
What do you got, Zia?
She has to disassociate from me. That's why it makes sense.
Ah, whatever.
Stinger.
Mine's at home. I have the same thing. Like similarly, we have a turntable at home and kind of old school hi-fi system, and really that's it. Is putting on vinyl. I love that. I still love that. Putting on vinyl and hearing that needle drop and just cranking it up, and that's probably for me. That's ideal. I love that. Yeah.
So obviously Seattle has some sports teams. Are we a fan of any of the Seattle sports teams? Do we follow any of them?
The only
Don't
one I follow,
care at
you follow,
all.
yeah. See, none of us are big. Well, no, that's not true. Brian Cohen's a big basketball fan, but we lost the Sonics.
Right.
So we're hoping. So Dog, we're hoping that the Sonics, we can get the Sonics back because the Sonics are very much missed, and I was a big fan of Sonics as well. So, and Brian Cohen is a huge basketball fan. I know he's into it as well. I follow Seattle Sounders. I follow soccer, and so I do support Sounders. And now maybe I'm a little fair weather. I could be a kind of a fair weather fan. I don't know, admittedly. But anyways, that's really about it. Who else? No, Paul watches the Mariners. Paul's a Mariners fan. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Sorry they
No,
weren't here to answer that question.
I don't
I
know.
answered, I just don't
No.
care.
Yeah. So I guess what are your options then for venues like music venues that are above like 5,000 people? Like, do you have a lot of options in Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, well, we have Climate Pledge here. Yeah, we have Climate Pledge Arena,
Right.
so that's well above 5,000 cap. We have Safeco Field, which is definitely that's an outdoor. That's got the roof covering. That's where the Mariners play, right? That's definitely well above 5,000. We
How about the
have
Gorge?
what's the one? We have the
The
Gorge, which is
Gorge.
beautiful. That's a beautiful venue. Actually, who just played there? Oh, like Lake Street Dive just played there. I just saw on their
I
IGs.
think Willie Nelson just played there the other night.
That's cool. That's a gorgeous venue. It's
Yeah.
it's also in the middle of the state, so it's not. I wouldn't call it a Seattle venue,
Oh,
but
that's
it's like
true.
it's
Yeah,
literally it's between Spokane and Seattle, so it's
that's
it's
true.
2 hours east of here. But it's gorgeous. And then we have the thing. What's it called? It used to be called the Clink. What the hell is it called? Lumen Field.
Right.
Lumen Field is where the Seahawks play. So like they have huge shit. Like I saw Metallica there, right? So like last summer. But that's another, more than 5,000 cap venue for us here in Seattle as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I would say I will watch the Seattle Rain. We got to play for them last
Oh,
summer or
you're right.
last fall at wasn't it Lumen Field outside of
That was
Lumen
at
Field?
Lumen
Yeah.
Field. Yeah, yeah. That was rad.
So I supported them. They
Yeah,
support
we
us, I
support
support
them.
them.
That's a good call. We support the Seattle Rain for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
We have a beautiful venue here too called Chateau Saint Michel, which is a
Yes.
winery. And it's not 5,000 though. It's maybe a 3,000 cap venue, maybe 2,500 or something. But anyways, it's beautiful and it's outside. And so like I'm going to see My Morning Jacket there. I'm a big fan, so I'm going to see them in August. But it's that venue is just beautiful. It's really cool. We're lucky to have that.
It is really pretty.
My Morning Jacket is one of the best bands in the
They're
world.
killer.
Oh my
They
God.
really are. Like it's really, yeah. I mean, just one of those bands. It's just like wow. It's just always really compelling songwriting. They're all incredible musicians. It's just one of those things. It's just like wow every time. But yeah, this new record is cool. I love it.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I was yeah, after the Waterfall and I guess what the last album, I wasn't so sure, but man, this album is killer. Like every
Yeah,
song it's just it rocks.
yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah. So, please elaborate on your experience, your individual experiences at the Gorge, because that is a venue that I've not been to. I've heard
Hmm.
so many great stories about it, like so many bands. It's always like their favorite venue to play. Like share a personal, story about the gorge for each of you.
I could go first if you want, Zia. Okay, so I've been there probably like 10 times in my life. The first time I went, though, was like to see Pink and Lenny Kravitz. Super random. I think it might have been like Pink's first big tour. I didn't really know other than that one song about the party, whatever. That was like, right. And then that was great, but I didn't really appreciate it then. The concert I appreciated the most was Tom Petty. Awesome concert. Like just so good. And then we had decided we were going to camp there. And I think unless you're like 20, you should never camp there because I felt like I was part of somebody's acid trip as they stood on top of their motorhome and literally screamed the entire night. So that part was not amazing. But if you could glamp or have a hotel nearby or you're 20, it's an amazing experience to camp in the regular campgrounds. But the concert alone, just the venue is so beautiful. It's worth going just honestly for the view. The music's just like the cherry on top.
For sure. Yeah, it's there where the bands generally stay when they're there is like there's a winery next door to the gorge and it's called Cave B, and they have like that's all, those are the sort of the best of the best accommodations there. It's really cool. Two experiences for me. One is in 1997, maybe, or 1998. I got to play the Gorge with a band that I was in at the time, and we actually opened for. It was really strange because the music didn't really fit, but we opened for Los Lobos and Dave Matthews Band. Super odd, but it was really cool and kind of got to experience the whole kind of artist side of things back then, which was really spectacular. And then around the same time, I went to go see Radiohead there for the OK Computer. And this was OK Computer. And it was just like, that was just mind boggling. It was so good. The band was so good. And the production was just incredible, just next level. So that was a really amazing experience as well. So there's a couple of them.
Well, as you can tell, Radiohead is my number one band in the world. I've seen them 14 times.
Oh, I see that now in the background. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
They're one of my favorite all-time bands as well. Yeah. I love that band.
My first concert ever, I was a senior in high school, and I went to see Alanis Morissette for the Jagged Little Pill tour. And you know who opened up for her on that tour? Radiohead.
Is that right?
Holy crap. They were previewing songs, like you said. They were previewing songs off OK Computer for that tour.
Right. So it was the Bends probably. Were they supporting the Bends?
Yeah, supporting the Bends and and they
love
played
that record too.
They played How to Disappear Completely, and that was the first time they played it live.
I love that song.
Oh my
God.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah, we flew down to Miami for their opening night of a moon-shaped pool for that tour.
Oh, that's cool.
Incredible. Like Miami.
I'm jealous.
So supposedly they're getting ready to tour now. Like you probably saw you probably sleuth them just as much as I do. Like they just, every time they tour, they form like this LLC thing and whatnot. So supposedly they're getting ready to tour again. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. I love his album with Mark Pritchard that just came out. It's fantastic. There are some bangers on that album. I don't know if you listened to it.
I haven't heard that.
I have to listen.
Oh, that's cool. I have to check that out.
Guys, thank you so much for doing it.
Super cool.
I so appreciate it. You guys rock, and the new album is so good. Listen to it, everybody. It's called Crush on You. It came out in April, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you again. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having us. I think Zia froze, but thank you so much for having us. Sorry it took so long to make this happen, and thanks for being so flexible and waiting.
Yep.
All good. All good. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah. So again, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us. That helps the bands like Jaws of Brooklyn. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR. Outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Dogg. You've been great. This is the Music Lab Podcast.